just whacked my mic with my script. Doing great.
Oh, also, we know not to work like during the intro. We're all, like, all of our mics are on.
Yeah, we're all hot.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Coming up, the UI community is mourning last week's tragedy in Georgia. And later, the UI announces in-person graduation celebrations.
3 national titles and no ACLs. Find out which Hawkeye dominated the wrestling mat in sports.
Keep your umbrellas on standby because this week is full of scattered rain showers.
All that and more coming up on this Monday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere, DITV News starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Lauren Johnson. Hawkeye Wrestling had a big weekend. Let's toss it to Michael in sports for more.
Thanks, Lauren. The University of Iowa wrestling team ended its 11-year championship drought and posted up historic numbers. The Hawkeyes posted up a score of 129 points to seal the win. 125-pounder Spencer Lee was the only Hawkeye to secure an individual national title. Not only is this his 3rd title, but Lee wrestled his way to the top with no ACLs. Coming into the tournament, Lee tore his ACL 8 days prior, and he says it didn't even faze him.
I hate kind of repeating it because it's not really my motto to make any kind of excuse or anything, but I tore my ACL in my other knee about 10 days ago, so didn't wrestle at all. I had probably 3-hour workouts every day leading up to this, and tough it out. Doesn't matter. No excuses.
It was an emotional weekend for the University of Iowa men's gymnastics team as it was the last time they would ever compete inside Carver Hawkeye Arena. The 8th-ranked Hawkeyes took on the 4th-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers Saturday afternoon.
Black and gold. Iowa men's gymnastics had their last home competition ever. DITV sports reporter Mallory Wilson has more.
Sure it was, and we used that as motivation to do our best sets we've done all year.
Leaving Carver with a statement, the Hawks defeated Nebraska 406.7 to 406.5. Senior Bennett Wong won the all-around with a career high of 83.1.
To Bennett, who I've obviously been working with for now 15 some odd years, it's crazy. And it's incredibly rewarding to watch him just grow up and go through this, and to be able to share literally all kinds of lasts tonight with him has been pretty awesome.
Concluding the meet, the Hawkeyes recognized their seniors Bennett Wong, Kalani Taylor, and Addison Chunk. The seniors were celebrated by warming videos from family members and friends.
And doing this whole week has really showed, and really getting down on every single detail and just making sure that everyone holds each other accountable. I think if we continue to do that, we're going to really see our best performance right when we need it.
But the celebration is short-lived as the Hawkeyes look to see where they compete next. The Hawkeyes will head to Lincoln, Nebraska on Saturday, April 3rd to compete in the Big Ten Championships inside Pinnacle Bank Arena starting at 7 p.m. Central Time.
The team took this weekend to celebrate, but they aren't done yet. Back to you, Lauren.
Thank you, Michael. Last night, the Asian Pacific Islander Cultural Center held a vigil for the victims of last week's shooting in Atlanta. Speakers at the vigil addressed the recent rise in anti-Asian hate crimes across the U.S. The shooting last week claimed the lives of 8 people. The suspect of the shooting claimed that his sex addiction motivated the attack. According to a report from the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism, anti-Asian hate crimes increased 149% in 2020. And some people are calling for this shooting to be labeled a hate crime. This is because only Asian Americans were targeted in this attack, making it a racially based crime. Some say that the conversation around this shooting needs to focus more on the systems that led to it. Additionally, before this shooting, President Joe Biden announced his support for an anti-hate crime bill that would denounce COVID-19 related hate crimes and make it easier for victims to come forward. The University of Iowa has resources available to students who have been affected by this. And the UI has announced a few in-person graduation celebrations. DITV News Director Bailey Chihan is in the newsroom with more. Bailey, how can Hawkeyes celebrate this milestone?
Thanks, Lauren. So previously, the University of Iowa had only planned to have virtual commencement ceremonies like they have been doing since last spring. But in late February, Republican Bobby Kaufman proposed a bill in the Iowa legislature that would require universities to have an in-person graduation celebration that students and two guests could attend. So the University of Iowa commencement ceremony planning team got ahead of this, and they came up with two different events. The first of which is Celebration at Kinnick, which will happen rain or shine and will not be postponed if severe weather hits. So students can pre-register with two guests to attend a socially distanced ceremony in Kinnick Stadium. Masks will be required, and there will be hand sanitizing stations throughout the stadium. The second is the Hawkeye Farewell, which will take place from May 10th to May 15th. Students can return to the Pentecost to pick up their graduation materials and then get their picture professionally taken at various locations throughout the Pentecost. I've been keeping my ears open on campus, and so far students are really excited about this, and there hasn't been a lot of negative feedback. And I think that's in part because these additional ceremonies are just that, they're additional. The virtual commencement ceremony is still the main event, but for Hawkeyes and their families who wish to return to Iowa City, they now have the opportunity to celebrate on campus. Lauren, back to you.
Thank you, Bailey. A new bill would make it easier for Iowans to bear arms. HSB 254 would remove the requirement for a background check to buy a gun from anyone other than a licensed dealer. This means gun sales between private citizens would not require the buyer to have a permit to carry. There is concern that if this bill passes, Iowa would be less safe. Due to the lack of background checks required, there is the potential for more people who shouldn't have guns getting possession. This includes convicted criminals and people who could be a danger to themselves. And it's been a warm and sunny weekend. Mallory, will this nice weather continue through the week?
Today will be overcast, and there is a slight chance of rain in the evening. Today, temps will reach a high of 62 degrees with winds up to 10 miles per hour. Gray skies will take us into the afternoon. Note there's a 50% chance of rain. The temperature will drop to 48 degrees later tonight. Dig out your umbrella for tomorrow, for there is a 100% chance of rain, with possible thunder. Finally, throughout the rest of the week, we will continue to see scattered rain showers. The temperatures will be staying steady in the 50s, and it looks like the sun will come out Thursday and Sunday of this week. Now that spring is officially here, those warmer temperatures mean it will be more fun to sit on the Pentecost. But those warmer days also bring the chance of severe weather. DITV reporter Oliver Wilhelm has more.
Today begins Iowa's Severe Weather Awareness Week, which reminds Iowans to prepare for the thunderstorms, tornadoes, flash floods, and other severe weather that takes place in Iowa. The most important thing is to be prepared. If you hear sirens, do not call 911 if you don't have an emergency. That just clogs the lines. Take the warnings seriously and don't stay outside to ogle.
If you're inside already, go in, take a look at your weather app. Everybody's got one, and see where the storm is, and just try and ride it out inside in a place of safety, and then go out and assess the damage afterwards.
If you can't get inside, get low to the ground. Avoid hills and trees, as those can increase your chances of being struck by lightning. When you're in any building, it's important to know where those refuge areas are. If you can't find signage, don't panic. Remember to look for windowless rooms on the lowest level. If those aren't options, try and find a restroom or a closet, as those often don't have windows. Iowa's Department of Homeland Security also recommends packing an emergency kit with items you might need. They recommend a power bank and charger to keep you up to date and your electronics fully powered, as well as a battery or hand crank powered radio in case those fail. They also recommend having canned food and water, a supply up for several days, as well as prescription medication. But this year, there's some new COVID-19 safety measures for public shelters as well.
So, try and exercise as much social distancing as possible. That's difficult, we understand, but at least protect yourself by, wearing your mask, try and shield your face, try and spend as little time in there as possible.
Being weather aware and paying attention to alerts, like our Hawk alerts, could be the difference between life and death. Our annual statewide tornado drill will take place this Wednesday, March 24th at 11 a.m. From Iowa City, this is Oliver Wilhelm, DITV.
Governor Kim Reynolds' approval rating is slipping. A new Des Moines Register poll showed that 52% of Iowans don't want Reynolds to run for re-election in 2022. Governor Reynolds' approval rating has fallen 10% over the past year. This is partly due to her decisions on how to handle the pandemic. Some were not happy with Reynolds' hesitancy towards implementing lockdowns. Reynolds has not released her election plans, but it is expected that she will run for re-election next year. And the UI Biology Department is celebrating their 165th anniversary. Due to COVID-19, they did not host any in-person events for the students.
With the pandemic, we ended up just putting up posters, showing, 165 years ago, what were classes like, what were lab sections like. And so we did more of that and post that on social media to like a then and now sort of perspective.
The biology department is also participating in One Day, an event where alumni can donate to the department. These donations go towards research and lab supplies.
It's a really great way for us to gain money and kind of help us, purchase those resources that we need for different classes and things like that.
The biology department provides students with research experience and connections that will help them succeed in their future careers.
I know that the bio department is there to support me, especially in terms of career aspirations and what I want to do in the future. And they're just a great resource. They really are such a great supporting foundation.
To learn more about the history of the biology department, visit uibio.org. The NCAA tournament started this weekend. Let's pass it to Michael for more on how the Hawkeyes did.
Thanks, Lauren. The Iowa men's basketball team wasted no time in their opening NCAA tournament game. They cruised to an 86-74 victory over Grand Canyon University. The powerful performance from the young players helped the Hawks survive and advance. Despite a first-round win, Iowa needs to keep their head in the game in order to stay alive.
I know that the bio department.
The Hawkeyes are set to battle with the Oregon Ducks for a trip to the Sweet 16 today at 11:10 a.m. The Hawkeyes return to the Dwayne Banks Field for the first time in over a year. I went to this home opener to watch the Hawks take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Sadly, the Hawkeyes didn't debut Dwayne Banks Field like they would have wanted to, as they would suffer a brutal series loss to the Nebraska Cornhuskers despite pitchers Trenton Wallace and Trace Hoffman combining for a shutout in the opening game of the series.
If you lose like we did, you just got to at least get a lesson from it. I mean, just because you win the Friday game doesn't mean that the other team's going to roll over. You got to keep putting on pressure and keep attacking on the pitching side and keep having really good at-bats on the offensive side.
The Hawkeyes would drop the next two games as they just could not find their groove on the mound.
Really didn't pitch well at all. Didn't have any shutdown innings after we scored. In fact, I think we gave up 9 runs the first 3 innings after the first 3 innings that we scored. Too many guys on base, and we fell behind in the count, and we had to come in, and they made us pay.
Coach Heller says the captains of this team need to step up big if they want to get their season back on track.
Do a lot of coaxing to keep guys to just keep fighting, and that the captains need to continue to do a good job of rallying the troops. And you get to a point in the season, and especially one that started out slow like this, as the head coach, you say a lot of things and you try to get them going, but at some point the group needs to take over and run with it, and we're kind of getting to that point.
Iowa returns to action this Friday as they travel to Columbus and look to bounce back with a series win against the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The Iowa men's tennis team had a tough matchup on Friday against the Michigan Wolverines. Iowa secured the early double points in the match, but were unable to finish with a win. The Hawkeyes looked to bounce back after facing a tough string of losses. Iowa fought its hardest, but lost to Michigan State 3-4. Despite a rough weekend, this team is still looking ahead. The Hawkeyes will travel to Pennsylvania to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions on Friday. Now let's volley it back to Lauren.
Thanks, Michael. 2 Iowa college students have filed separate class action lawsuits over the cost of online classes during the spring 2020 semester. One student at Wartburg and another at Mount Mercy say that the value of online classes is less than that of in-person classes. They also say that the value of their experience is less than what it would have been in person. These students want a portion of their tuition for that semester refunded to better fit the value of their experiences. Other lawsuits have come up around the U.S., but they have been dismissed. Thank you for tuning into DITV News. I'm Lauren Johnson. Have a great day.